Good morning from Trelane and from a rainy Lowestoft, or more precisely Lothing Lake, on the way up to Alton. Trelane has been here for another period of engineering fix with her sick engine, and we are in fact leaving with a different engine to that which we arrived with. The reasons for that are a bit complicated, but essentially when I went to check a fairly routine thing on the engine, a bit of the block cracked. So fortunately we were able to drop another unit in very rapidly, unlike last year, and so we will be getting underway for Point South shortly. It's obviously devastating and very expensive, but that's life and sailing. So hopefully that'll be the last bit of engineering news for a while. So that's us underway, clear of Lowestoft, heading down towards the sunk precautionary area and out round the edge of the Thames arrival and departure arc. From there we're going to thread our way through Gabbard and the wind farm off Margate, and that will take us all the way to Ramsgate. The winds won't stay like this, unfortunately. If it did, we'd have a glorious passage. At some point early this afternoon it's due to fall away, and at that point we'll motor for a bit, and then I think it's going to be a southerly coming in, so we'll then be hardish on the wind coming into Ramsgate. And the question is whether we can get around the corner and make use of that to get lifted along to Dover or not. It's also a matter of time. If things go according to plan, we should be at Ramsgate somewhere very early in the morning, and it might actually be better to hold on for another couple of hours until dawn, which will take us to Dover, but we'll just see how we get on. It's 2 o'clock on the 19th, the passage south from Lowestoft to Ramsgate or Dover, and we are slap bang in the middle of the Thames estuary off Aldborough, and there's shipping all round, all within touching distance almost, but you can't see any of it because it's typically North Sea gloom, and the wind's falling light, but we're still maintaining 4.5, which is acceptable, and we've got the tide under us, so we're making a bit more, which is even better. And we're running down the rum line, and I'm adjusting the wind vane every 10 minutes it feels like, because the wind's turning, and we're trying really hard to stay on this particular line that will slot us in down the edge of the sunk traffic separation scheme, and hopefully spit us out at the bottom in a place where we can make for Ramsgate. The passage south to Ramsgate continued in unremarkable form, except that it began to get super busy with traffic inbound to Harwich, Felixstowe and the Port of London. As is my wont, much to YouTube's distress, when things get busy I forget to film. I keep meaning to, but then I forget to remember. I suppose it's better that way, that I'm attending to the navigation, but then when I come to edit there are these big holes in the footage. Oops. Once we cleared the sunk TSS, kind of like a roundabout for ships, the night began to fall and the wind did indeed turn southerly. It was a bit of a fight to get into Ramsgate, and in the last hours of the passage trying to motor into the port, my tiller pilot failed. It had been making nasty growling noises for some time, so that was perhaps no surprise, but it necessitated investigations in Ramsgate. It's Sunday and I have just about woken up, had some coffee and a shower after yesterday's passage down the Thames estuary from Lowestoft. And now, as always, we have to start fixing the things that went wrong, because that's what sailing is. So for a couple of passages now, the autopilot that I use when I'm motoring, it's a tiller pilot. These things are notorious for giving trouble, and This one is displaying signs either of a burnt out motor or of getting too few volts to its motor, and it's been getting progressively worse, but something has gone awry because yesterday it wouldn't boot at all, which was really not very helpful, since quite a lot of the passage we needed it because the winds were either too light for the wind vane to steer or there was some motoring going on. And it is a real safety feature to have, because when you're single-handed you can't really leave the boat otherwise, and so you can get really tired very, very quickly just sitting holding the tiller. So the fault finding strategy for this is, first of all, we're going to get the socket off and we're going to see what the voltage is on the line coming up to the socket, and that voltage will probably be okay, but I suspect that when we put it under load it will fall away, and that may be because there's a suspect piece of cable in there that is pretty much the only cable I haven't replaced in this whole boat, and I didn't replace it because it's really awkward to get to. So if it's suspect, I will run a new one, probably by a slightly less elegant route, and then sort out how we clip that up to something so it doesn't get caught up. Fortunately, I have got the parts to do this, and if it's not the volts, then it might be the socket, because the socket is out in the open and it gets quite a lot of wave abuse, let's put it that way, so it might be really corroded inside, and that's replaceable. And if it's neither of those two things, then we might have to open the tiller pilot and see whether it's the ram or the motor's burnt out or something, and we can investigate then what we do about it. Good morning from Ramsgate on the southeast tip of England, just south of Northumberland, and Trelene and I are about to get underway, and we are now on the south coast proper for the first time in several years, and we are heading towards the Solent. I don't know how far we'll get today, but the sea is really flat, and so I've decided to leave a bit earlier than I was planning to, and accept that because there's no real wind knocking around, I'm going to motor and push tide for a while, so that when the tide turns we get picked up and pushed, and that might allow us to get a bit further today than we were otherwise going to. So this is it, the last sail of my round Britain and Ireland passage in aid of the Andrew Castle Foundation, and I'm just close reaching across the flats towards the forts of the east, just close reaching across the flats towards the fort on the eastern boundary of the Solent, and suddenly back in a land where there is an awful lot of yacht traffic and an awful lot of radio traffic as well, most of which, especially to the Coast Guard, seems to be entirely unnecessary. My arrival into Cowes was quiet and broadly unremarked, and that was really how I wanted it. It was a suitable end to a undemonstrative and quiet series of passages around the United Kingdom and Ireland. I was met by a bunch of friends from the Andrew Castle Foundation, and we sat down for some drinks, and some of us had some food at the lifeboat in East Cowes. I suppose I'm still reflecting on what the passage meant to me as around Britain and Ireland, and the unremarked bit was really achieved because everyone in the foundation and most people who are in the sailing fraternity in Cowes were extremely busy organising for Cowes Week, and so it was possible to slip in sort of on the quiet and not have people make too much noise about stuff.